welcome to Games Night at QI. Let's meet the players and game for a laugh. It's Phill Jupitus. And at the top of his game, Sean Locke. A game girl, Liza Tarbuck. And thinking about going on the game, Alan Davis.
Okay.
And tonight the bells are all well hung and fairly gamey. Phill goes...
Gladiators ready!
Sean goes... Liza goes... Alan goes...
Good game, good game.
Oh, good game. Excellent. Well, let the games then begin. Picture this, Alan. It's a little complicated, but I think we'll get that. Phill and yourself and Sean are in love, and why shouldn't you be, with Liza.
You've noticed?
Yes. Now, you're going to have a truel, which is a three-way duel.
Right.
Now, the problem is, Sean's a really good shot. He hits 90% of the time he hits the target.
It's amazing, looking at my eyes.
Yeah. Phill hits the target 60% of the time. You, unfortunately, are not a very good shot, and you only 10% of the time. Okay?
Right.
You get first shot. Well, you only got one. You can shoot one of them. They will then each have a shot afterwards. The question is, what would your best strategy be?
Shoot myself.
Oh, what a pity.
It's obvious. All we're supposed to do is shoot Liza.
There you go. Yeah, something tells me all up there, you know.
Oh, then you have a gay three-way.
I want to say...
To you.
I say there's something... Sean, can you look? There's something... Phil's got something on his back of his shirt, and then I shoot through Phill into Sean.
Yeah, like we're going to fall for that.
And like a bullet is going to make its way through my body anything other than a quarter of an hour. Sean will be the other side of me going, any minute now, it'll come, any...
I'll do it the other way around, I'll do it the other way around.
Also, why I appear to have been eating cocoa out of the jar by just ramming my face in it. What's going on?
Yes, well, no expense has been spared and you've had a...
I have done 2 series of QI without the beard, and yet they still persist on the photo of me where I look like the fat Carlos the Jackal.
You're worried about that? Look at my hair.
That is more of a dog turd than a hairdo, isn't it? Sorry to say.
Well, surely my best option is to try and shoot the one who's a better shot than the other one.
You've got a 90% chance of not hitting them.
Yeah.
Even if you went for Sean, even if you actually did kill him, then obviously Phill would then aim at you. So that's a bad option.
Yeah.
Even worse if you shoot Phill, because then you've got a 90% chance and you hit him.
Yeah.
But supposing you just miss. You deliberately miss.
I want them to run away.
No. Stay where you are. What's in their interest?
Oh, yeah, shoot the one who's a better...
If Phill shot you, you're no threat to him. He could shoot you, but then he would have no bullet, you'd have no bullet, and Sean would have a bullet.
That's brilliant. Get the guns out.
Yeah. There you go.
Hang on.
There you go, pass it on, pass it on.
Oh! Brilliant!
Have another one.
Damn it!
Have another one. There you are. They
How do you load
You should
these?
say, leave it, it's not worth it!
Yeah.
There you are. Have you got yours? Oh, no, she... actually, you don't need one. Yeah.
Presumably, my gun going off early is one reason that Lisa's probably quite lucky I'm going to lose the duel.
What we're dealing with here, while you're refolding your ammunition, it's something called game theory. Does that ring a bell with you at all? Game theory?
No, we didn't do that.
Game theory?
Yeah.
No.
It was invented by a couple of people, particularly von Neumann and Morgenstern in America, but most famously by a man called Nash. Does that mean anything to you? He won a Nobel Prize and then suffered terribly from the awful effects of being played by Russell Crowe in a film.
Gladiator.
Not Gladiator, no.
Oh, the mathematician,
Yes,
a beautiful mind.
A beautiful mind, that's right. He won a Nobel Prize for his work on game theory, which was this kind of thinking, which has been applied to economics, to business. For example, a very good example is advertising. Now, if you have two companies, if they both advertise, they're both spending an enormous amount of money and, as it were, cancelling each other out. If neither of them advertised, they'd keep the money and the market would remain the same. So what it resulted in is the bizarre situation that when they banned tobacco advertising, it was to the benefit of the tobacco firms, because they were suddenly saved money that they were sort of wasting anyway. Another example was an episode of Big Brother, do you remember? There were two finalists. They would get 50,000 was the prize money, right? They were going to be asked separately. If they both say they'll share it, then they'll share it. They'll get 25k each. If one of them says, I'll take the lot, right? And the other one says, I'll share it, the one who says, I'll take the lot, wins the lot. If they both say, I'll take the lot, neither of them gets anything. Have you got that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if one says, I'll share it, and the other one says, I'll take the lot, he gets it.
So what do? You're in separate rooms, and they say, make your decision now.
I came here with nothing, Stephen.
If you... Yeah, that's it.
I've had a lovely day. Everyone's been so
nice. But your best strategy, I mean, the point is to say, I'll share it.
Is it?
Yeah. And they both did say, I'll share it. And they both probably regret it. They both went, I should have said I'll take the lot.
Yeah.
Because he said I'll share it, so I should have done.
Or they should have probably studied at school. Got on with their lives. Not gone into some last chance saloon hoping to get washed up on the shores of fame.
Many people believe that altruism amongst human beings is a genetic development that is a playing out of precisely this theorem, that in a sense, the fact that it's good for us to do things for other people for our own benefit rather than be entirely selfish is one of the principles of game theory. It's the best thing you can do for yourself is to be altruistic.
Well, then again, I said the other way, that's why I was offered first aid lessons. And I thought, how's that going to help me?
What about
You're a sweetheart, aren't you?
What about the bloke who had to cut his arm off because it was stuck in the rock? He only knew how to get it off because he'd done some fundamental first aid.
Yeah.
It was stuck in what?
It was rock climbing, and he had a fall, and his arm got wedged between two rocks and couldn't get it out. And the more he pulled it, the more it swelled up, got worse. He knew no one was going to come. He only had a certain amount of food. He thought, I'm going to have to cut my arm off.
Wow.
So what you have to do first, in case this ever happens to you, is you have to break the arm, because you can't...
Oh.
There's no way you can cut through the bone with a small knife that he had. It's not in the time he had. So he knew that, so he had to break his arm, and then he had to cut through the flesh and through the gap where he'd broken it.
And
Nice.
presumably remain completely compos mentis.
Not
Otherwise
scream.
he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this hit at a particular age? For example, do kids have this game's mentality of sharing, or does it, say, hit later on in life?
There's a programme on about sharing, about anger the other day.
Yeah.
And it said that they had some children who I think were 2, and they said that they need to be taught to share, shown how to share, supervised, and in doing so, their brains will actually grow differently as the brain
make
develops.
new connections and bridges.
And that's... So your actual personality will change according
Well, that's a
to
good
how
question
you
of
are
Liza's
raised.
then, isn't it? As to what age this happens. I don't know. Interesting.
I keep staring at the image behind your head and I'm just drawn to
So
it.
you can see, because you're not looking where you're shooting, are you? Alan's probably looking in the mirror by the light of his head. He's practising where he goes out. I'm on the job. I'm focused.
You are, aren't you?
I'm taking Liza home with me.
Yeah, but you've got grade 1 action man hands that don't even grip a gun.
And I've just shat myself.
I'm not going home with you.
Now, listen. So, good. Well done, everybody. The point is, in the truel, in the three-way duel, Alan's best plan is deliberately to miss and hope that the two hotshots kill each other. It's an example of game theory in action. Now, which popular game traditionally ends with all the players being thrown into a lake of fiery sulphur?
Well, I hope it's show jumping. I hate show jumping. Oh, God. I'd have one of those after every jump.
Before and after.
Yeah.
It's not show jumping, though. It would certainly liven it up.
It sounds biblical.
I don't think it's the humans, though, is it? It's pieces. Wouldn't it be pieces?
Well, I'll tell you that it's a game that went dramatically out of fashion in 1972. Early 72, it was more popular than Monopoly. But by the end of 72, it had almost completely gone out of fashion because of a film.
Mousetrap. Mousetrap.
No, there is no film of
Because of a
Mousetrap.
film. Is it Drafts? Remember that film? Drafts.
The film's not...
The truth about drafts.
No.
Drafts makes you go bored. Don't play drafts.
The film is not a game, there's a game in it.
There's a game in
this
the
game
film.
is played in it, and it's scary.
Oh, is it a séance?
Yeah, it is a séance using a Ouija board.
OK.
Right.
And what film has there a Ouija board?
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist is the right answer. One of the truly great films of the 20th century.
Is a Ouija board really a game? I don't remember ever seeing Ouija board scenes in a film and at the end going, right, who won?
Not dead. Well, the odd thing about Ouija, it was a board, it still belongs to Parker Brothers.
Get out!
Yeah, Ouija is a proprietary name, it's a trademark.
Is it We-Ya?
Interesting point. That is some people's theory of the name of it is, yes, two words for yes, we, the French, and ya, the German, but no one's quite sure about where the name came from, except that it's a game that was invented. The board was invented and it was sold and people played it. I mean, it's weird to say that, but they enjoyed the fact that it nearly always works in as much as, you know, people spell out words and they don't quite know how they're doing it. It's clearly not dead people.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was not originally supposed to be dead people. It was supposed to be that you contacted yourselves, a part of yourselves that automatically wrote. It was not about seances.
Dead people just joined in.
Yeah.
This is good. This is the one for us.
Even when recently asked, only a third of the people who still use Ouija boards say they do it to contact dead people. And in the First World War, it was used to contact your troops abroad, supposedly.
So, hold on. Are some dead people trying to communicate with the living through Monopoly?
Yeah. There was a court case in the 90s, I'm sorry to say, in Britain, a murder case, quite an important one, and the jury had to be dismissed because in their hotel overnight they used a Ouija board to try and contact the murdered person and and apparently the murdered person said, the guy in the dock is guilty, convict him. And said, the judge heard about it and dismissed the jury, quite rightly, you may say. But the awful thing was, if they'd done it in the jury room, the judge couldn't have dismissed them. Because the judge has no right in law to know what goes on in a jury room. The deliberations must be private.
Unless he's dead.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's really complicated.
Was the guy guilty?
Unfortunately, he was retried and found guilty, which sort of is really irritating. So maybe the ghost of the murdered person did.
Where's the competitive element?
Suppose you just have a go.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to contact? Right, it's your turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you contact two dead people and then they box.
And then they tell you how it went.
Ghost boxing. Ghost boxing. On Sky Sports 2. Live ghost boxing from Auntie Vera's parlour.
See people in sheets.
Yeah. The headless man, he's already down.
It's just going like that. It's trying to punch you.
Do you know there's an Elvis...
Yeah. There we go. Go on. Hit me. Hit me.
There's an Elvis seance website.
Of course there is. I bet there's more than one of those.
Where you contact Elvis.
Online?
But it cautions... It cautions, if you wish to repeat this experiment, please be considerate. Many people may wish to contact Elvis, and we're sure he's quite busy. Please treat this information...
For eternity.
Yes, please treat this information the same as you would if he were alive and you had his email address, with respect. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? A sort of posthumous Twitter and things like that. That would be hell, I have to say.
You just thought of that?
Yeah.
You're in it up to your neck.
Oh, God. Horrifying. But the reference in the Bible to the fiery lake or whatever is from Revelations, where it does say those who practice the magic arts will be cast into burning sulphur. So,
How about balloon animals?
Ooh, the punishment for people who do balloon animals is not specified in Revelation.
You're off.
I think it's loneliness, the punishment for them.
Yeah.
I think it's long nights, sitting alone.
Actually, if we had a Ouija board, we would probably contact me at a few gigs I did in the middle of
You've never died on stage.
the Royal Albert Hall. Oh, my God. Really? When Roger Daltrey's carrying you off going, don't worry, son, don't worry, you know you've died at a gig.
Well, you weren't carrying the whole evening, were you, just as a guest?
No, I just... They put The Who on. The Who did...
Some songs.
But like massive hits, and they've just did Won't Get Fooled Again, which finishes, you know, bam, bam, wah, and then someone went, ladies and gentlemen, Phill Jupitus. So I really didn't think it through.
No, that's
the first squeak of those balloons. Was he just...
I lost them.
These acoustics weren't built for this sound.
It goes puppy, giraffe, then funny hat, and then that's the closer. Then I make hats for other people in the audience.
There you are. It is interesting, of course, that although a lot of people have gone to Ouijas and things, they say, well, words are spelled out, of course. It isn't dead people, because dead people are dead, so they can't do that. And if they did want to do anything, it wouldn't be help spelling out words. But if you blindfold people, they still move around and do things, but when you turn the board around without them noticing, they just spell out gobbledygook, surprisingly, which I think kind of proves the point, doesn't it? So, yeah, in my youth, games which conjured up the spirits of the dead were a popular gift for children. It's a weird thought. If they didn't like it, they could go to hell, essentially. So during the Second World War, who were the scallywags? Does that ring a bell? The scallywags? Not them, that's just a little suggestion.
Lovable urchin types.
I'm fairly sure it wasn't the SS.
Well, that's the odd thing.
It's the SS?
No.
You mean they were the scallywags?
But what I'm saying is...
men in the war.
Despite the cheeky name, we're talking about something really dark and violent. Oh. That's why I'm going, well...
Snipers.
Well, no, what was the cutest, cuddliest, sweetest part of the British forces? Probably, if you think of...
Virulin.
Yes, or Dad's Army, for example. The Home Guard,
okay.
right? But there were plans afoot that if, and probably when, right, that's a man dressed as a woman doing a practice there, if and when the Germans invaded, there would be a guerrilla section of people who were not mainstream military.
I almost wish they had invaded.
Yeah.
That was out.
There were people in reserved occupations like...
Hands up, pricks.
Yeah.
Think about that picture, the baby's the best shot.
It's a truel. But clergymen and doctors were secretly trained, given money and supply dumps of ammunition and explosives and a gallon of rum in each one. And their job would be, when the Germans came, not only to shoot Germans, but there was a general view that Churchill would be killed or removed and someone like Lord Halifax would go in. And Michael Foote was one of these scallywags, as they were called. They were the secret auxiliary part of Dad's Army. And he and George Orwell and J.B. Priestley and others all were trained to assassinate anyone who collaborated with the Nazis. And there would be an underground resistance. And Michael Foote said, I would have killed Lord Halifax. I was quite prepared to, and I would have killed him. So they were pretty violent. It was not an easy, cosy thing. It's a good story, isn't it?
It's a terribly clever thing, though, isn't it? Because if somebody did come over and collaborate, anybody who might otherwise have caused trouble or ructions of a different kind would be automatically on the side of good.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
That's the way... You're exactly right. It's that a group of radicals and left-wingers had an uneasy alliance with the military who trained them against the possibility of anybody who collaborated with Nazis.
That is a double-mind Jedi.
It is.
I think they...
What I'm interested in is how Michael Foote's changed his image over the years.
He has a little...
If he'd worn that beautiful outfit at Armistice Day, there wouldn't have been all that fuss.
It's Spike Milligan.
Well, yeah. Also, they were trained on night duty and for stealth, but they only had 2 weeks' worth of rations and everything, because essentially the belief was that they wouldn't survive any longer than that. They were basically suicide squads. They were a terrorist suicide squad, as we now call them, essentially. That's what they were trained in. It was a cellular structure like terrorists. They didn't know who the others were. They only knew their own band, and they were tasked to do specific...
And do you suspect that such an organisation exists today?
I wonder. I wouldn't.
Yes.
I'm not allowed to tell you.
Who have you been trained to kill?
The unofficial motto was terror by night. even in the ordinary, if you can call it that, home guard, there were some pretty tough things being taught. Boy Scouts, aged 12 to 14, were giving demonstrations at Osterley Park, where the training camp was for the home guard, of how to decapitate motorcyclists by stretching wire across the road. That's 12 to 14
That's the kind of scouting I wanted to do. Following twigs around Epping Forest.
And Harry Lee, who was the British roller skating champion, demonstrated how to use roller skates to knee someone in the groin.
You're going to slip over there. How are you going to get the other foot anchored?
Yeah, I think he may not have thought it through. You may be right. Anyway, there you are. During the Second World War, guerrilla fighters from Dad's army were trained as underground scallywags. They must have been pretty tough customers, but who were the toughest of all vegetarians in history?
That's a sort of a bit of a, what's it called, an oxymoron, that, isn't it?
You'd think, what is it?
There are whole swathes of Asia where there are a lot of vegetarians. I'm sure their armies would be quite fearsome.
Some sort of Shaolin monk, ninjas, kung fu. Are we Orient here? Are we Oriental?
Yeah, well, I mean, you may be right, but who were the toughest? Well, not the toughest.
Bulls.
Bull. Yes, well, of course, that's true. The strongest animals on Earth are all vegetarians.
Tough as anything, and they're not carnivores.
True. But no, I'm thinking of in history...
Hitler, he was quite tough, I suppose.
Ah, yes, but Hitler was not a vegetarian.
Wasn't he?
No, oddly enough. For some reason, people want to think of him as a vegetarian. I mean, it's certainly true that he didn't smoke or drink much. He occasionally had glasses of wine, but... I'm not saying he was wonderful, but then... by saying he's vegetarian, I'm not saying he's ghastly either. Think of a film in the last 15 years.
Cowboys. No.
Cowboys. There was a very successful film. An Australian actor starred as a...
Gladiators.
Gladiators is the answer.
They're vegetarians, were they?
They were. They were not. They were vegans, in fact, or vegans, however you like to say it. Relatively recent discoveries in Ephesus, where there's a mass grave of gladiators, showed that they gave all indications that they didn't eat meat. And, in fact, they were known as barley men, hordearii, meaning eaters of barley. It was thought that they basically ate barley and beans and a bit of dry ash, which is supposed to be good for the muscles. But it was important that they were quite fat. And they're always shown as stocky in art.
Right.
How can they find out that they're vegetarian from an archaeological dig?
Well, another thing is teeth.
Shopping list.
Oh, OK.
Teeth.
You got it all there, Waitrose.
Carved with flint on slate. Beans.
No, just loads of toilet paper.
Well, do you know what? I thought... Beyond teeth, how would they know?
Well, actually, chemicals in the bone and so on, levels of zinc and things like that, that indicate very strongly. If it's low levels of zinc, it indicates they didn't eat meat.
See, I have a problem with all this sort of prehistoric science, is the fact that they get the bones and they go... I'm assuming that's what... Something like that.
Yeah.
And they've got to find something, haven't they? They go, oh, well, these chemicals suggest they only eat vegetables. They can't go... hasn't been of any use to us whatsoever.
Well, oddly enough...
wasted the last 3 bloody years of my life!
That is so precisely what scientists do.
Yes.
They say constantly, all the time, this is not indicative of anything. We don't know. We don't know. If there's any group of people who says we don't know a lot, it's scientists, unlike religionists. And isn't it weird that scientists are the ones always accused of being arrogant? It's so ridiculous. But that we don't know is the default position on science, until you absolutely know something.
Actually... we just don't know.
We just don't know.
We just don't know.
Don't get me started. Yeah. Anyway, the fact is, it seems, at the moment, that Roman gladiators were strict vegans. Now, what kind of contest might end in either a checkmate or a knockout?
Well, by the look of it, choxing.
I'm going to give you the points.
Is it called choxing?
It's not called chess. It's called chess boxing.
Boxing?
There is a sport called chess boxing. Yeah, I know.
More.
It's weird.
You play and fight one another at the same time? Will you have a move and get up?
Tonight at the Empire Pool, Wembley, Henry Cooper meets Gary Kasparov.
No, you have to be good at both. It's like a pentathlon or something. What,
I tell you, box around, then you do some chess.
Yeah, basically, you've got 12 minutes on your chess clock, and you've got 4 minutes of chess, then 3 minutes of boxing, and back again. And between rounds, players have 1 minute to remove or don their gloves, because obviously boxing gloves and chess doesn't work very well. You win by either checkmate or knockout, or failing those by retirement or exceeding the time limit on the board. Do you know who the Ukrainian WBC heavyweight champion is?
Vladimir Klitschko.
Yes. And his brother is...
Klitschko.
His brother is Vladimir.
Dennis.
No, Vitaly is the WC, and Vladimir is IBF. They're brothers, and Vitaly is a PhD and plays chess very well, and his brother is also a chess player. So they could probably play. And Lennox Lewis is a very keen chess player. In fact, when Lennox Lewis played Klitschko, he beat him, in fact, didn't he? They would be the ideal, but it does exist. It took place, firstly, in the Netherlands in 2003.
You could do it with other sports, couldn't you, then?
Yeah, go on.
I don't know. Chugby.
Chugby.
Chess and rugby.
Chess and rugby, chugby, I like
Darts and swimming.
Oh.
Swarts.
Swap.
Or dimming.
Or dimming, yeah.
Underwater darts, would that work?
Oh, yes, I like the sound of that.
Or darts at swimmers. I went to the Olympics in Athens. I went to the swimming. I'll go to the swimming. That would be fantastic. It would be very exciting. It's rubbish.
Oh.
You have no idea what's going on. You're just sat looking at a pool. People are just going up and down. You have no idea who's in the lead, who's won,
Television's
which
better,
one is
isn't it?
which.
Yeah.
€200.
Whoa. You never get them back.
Don't bother. When we have it in 2012, I'll be everything but. What about...
Fuka.
Same to you.
Oh, I don't see football and snooker.
What about ping swing ball?
Say again?
Ping swing ball.
Ping swing ball. Very
Ping
good.
pong with one hand, swing ball with the other.
Superb.
Trivial winks.
Trivial wins.
Trivial winks. Do you fancy a game?
Trivial winks.
Excellent. Well, there's a thing called Calcio Fiorentino, which is a form of football and martial arts together, played in Florence, in which the rules permit headbutting, punching, elbowing and choking. Though this year there was a new rule that
Another
banned...
game with Wimbledon.
This year there was a new rule that banned people with criminal records. And one team lost 20 of its players under this. That's a bit unfortunate.
Suspicious.
There's slam ball, which is an American game, which is a sort of basketball where they have trampolines on the court. So you can use them to block and to bounce. Have you seen that?
Wow.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. There's a channel that shows nothing but that.
Really?
Is it good, Phil?
These games are really for people who couldn't get in the football team, aren't they? They go, well, you didn't make the team squad, but you can play Chefflington or whatever.
I
didn't even try there, did I?
No. Well, anyway, chess boxing is a quite interesting hybrid sport. What was the first prize in the annual Mayan, ball game tournament? Yes.
We hadn't had one, so I thought... An avocado.
It comes from there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It comes from that area.
Trousers.
Some trousers. They are.
A pair of trainers.
A pair of trainers,
It
possibly.
looks good, though, doesn't it?
Why have spectators got all the clothes on? Fat people in clothes.
What else do we know about Mayans?
Sacrifice, blood sacrifice.
Yes, pretty
Your
violent
life?
fun. Your
Was the
life.
prize your life?
Basically, yeah, your life was taken. If you were the captain of the winning team, you were killed and your heart was taken out and burned, which seems an
What's
odd...
that going to do at the post-match interview?
Well,
Well, I've got to say, Brian, I thought the lads did really well. Oh, my God! My heart! My heart! Ah! Ah! Thank you, Dave.
Excellent.
What was the incentive, though? Why would you want to win?
This is the logical problem, isn't it? They played the game for 3,000 years, from 1400 BC. It wasn't until 700 AD that a king known as 18 Rabbit decided that it made better sense to sacrifice the captain of the losing team.
Yeah.
As you say, would incentivise each side to play it better.
minute.
It's a long time to work it out, wasn't it?
No wonder the games have been so rubbish all year.
Another own goal.
I get it.
86 own goal.
Who knows why?
That's kind of
but maybe-
interesting, then. Because I was thinking, well, if they went along to that slaughter willingly,
I think that's
then,
it. It
then
was an
we
honour
know
to
their
die.
mindset.
Yeah, it was an
Yeah.
honour.
I don't agree.
But then the fact that the guy changed it, that doesn't make sense at all, does it?
No,
Maybe-
I think you can say it safely now, even with all the problems of the BBC and what's politically correct. I think you can safely say the Mayans were stupid. They were really stupid.
If I'd known this about those terrible, terrible Mayans, I wouldn't have enjoyed my Aztec bars back in the 70s with such abandon.
They were from the Aztecs.
Yes. Aztecs?
Oh, they're completely different.
Aztecs is Mexico, Mayans, Belgium. No, Mayans is Peru, isn't it?
Well, no, that was the Incas, really. The Mayans did share the same land as the Aztecs. I mean, it was Central America, really, sort of Honduras all the way through to
I
Mexico.
said, do you want to take that back now?
Yeah.
How do you sing the...
Oh, no, children.
No, that's a complimentary. That's
Take it back.
Oh,
That's it.
Very good.
Respect.
Lovely. Well done. Well done. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, the winners of the Mayan Championships at the beginning were sacrificed to the sun god until 1 year. The king, known as 18 Rabbit, decided to change the rules and sacrifice the losers instead. Now, where might you see a boat like this here?
Las Vegas.
Oh,
Las
she's
Vegas.
good.
Do you know what? It's 'cause
Stopped you from saying...
That was really
water
mean
is
of
too
me.
clean.
Yeah,
Much
and
too clean for the place that we
that whole
set the bells
wall
on.
isn't rotten and
Yeah,
sinking.
that's...
Those people in that gondola clearly still have some money left. Because let me tell you, if you go in the gondolas in Venice, kiss goodbye to the rest of the holiday.
Well,
You're going to be
just paid
calling on
50
Italian
euros.
social services.
He's just paid €50 for that hand job.
Oh, well...
It's more like the Italian guys leaning over and asking her for her room number.
Very likely. Now, but there's another reason why that could not possibly be Venice. That's the gondola itself. What's wrong with it?
Just too bling.
Well, it is tubing, actually,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's because... Have you been to Venice? Have you noticed
Yeah.
gondolas?
Yes.
Yeah, really expensive.
They're very expensive, yes.
They're black.
They're all black. It's an ordinance from 1633 onwards. They have to be black, a sumptuary law that says they will be black. They're allowed little bits of ornament and bling, as you can see, and they're allowed a little curly prow and a few other such things, but they must be black. And since we're in Las Vegas, let's go to the casino. We've talked about them a bit, but how can you win money from a casino?
Magnets.
Counting cards.
Prostitution.
Card counting, that's right.
And they can spot that you're doing it. They have people that watch and know that you're doing it.
They do know.
And it was a chap who wrote a book, Ben something... No.
Nevis.
Awfully good.
I know, I interviewed
High as
the
a
dude.
kite.
And
Oh, you interviewed him?
he's a maths teacher at a college and he gets some students.
Was it MIT students, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. And they went
Sort
as an
of
experiment,
trainer.
kind
Yeah.
of. And he's been banned from
Yeah.
casinos.
It's not against the law, and you're not cheating. Actually, all you're doing is playing the game extremely well. Now what happens is that they have this amazing face recognition technology that all the casinos in the world buy into. If you went into a casino in Phoenix, say, and did some card counting, and they said, excuse me, sir, can you leave? They can't really take your winnings away from you. They just make you leave, unless they're criminals. They'll try and beat you up if they really dislike you. And you were to go into one in Macau, flew over the next day, they'd spot you as you came in. Their computers would pick you up. The face recognition say he's a card counter, because they would have
If they
been...
haven't got enough advantages.
I know, but that's the thing. They're just there to make money.
And how do they spot that you're card counting unless you sit there and go, a 7, 5, a jack, bust. And if you did do that, I wager they'll go, excuse me, sir, could you... I got a picture one! I got a picture one!
Well, that's maybe the way you disguise it.
Yes. Well, of course, what they do is they do it in teams, and they have very clever ways.
You're doing that. The guy at the other end's counting the cards. The perfect...
Yeah.
Well, you're right. That was the system that Ben Campbell, the guy you interviewed... Ben Campbell, remember him?
Yes.
Yes, that's it. Well, then. That was his system. But oddly enough, they've tried to do it with roulette. How would you do it with roulette?
Count the spins.
You stop it.
Count the ball.
Stop it. Stop time.
Ah.
And then you only can move. Everyone else is frozen in time.
Yeah.
And then you get the ball and put it exactly where you want.
Yeah.
And then go, everyone back in the room. You've won.
Why not just help yourself to all the money in the place while you've stopped time?
Because when you eventually you'd have to stop time and bring them back in, and they'd know. They go, something's missing. If you won, they'd go, wow, you've done it again.
I know how you win.
And I feel my pants are on for exchange.
I know how you win.
Well, you would, wouldn't you? You'd take all the money and you'd fiddle with people. So
long!
you would!
What you've got to watch out is you just got to watch... You don't play one of the tables where the croupier, once he spins it, goes like this with his hand.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
They just go, place your bets, and then he goes...
Only a few years ago, a group of people won 1.3 million at the Ritz Casino here in London using a laser scanner inside a mobile phone linked to a computer that measured the speed of the roulette ball as the croupier released it, and it would predict approximately where on the wheel the ball would land. And the police were called. Decided that they hadn't broken the law because they hadn't interfered with the spin at all.
So they were betting the last seconds.
Yeah.
The last seconds.
Last possible, yeah. And that's obviously alerted the suspicion.
They must
It's
have been
jolly
so
clever.
excited.
Oh, God, that must be fun, mustn't it?
Yeah.
Yay!
Trying to keep cool.
Mind you, every time they used a scanner, it went diddly-oo-doo, 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 diddly-oo-doo. Not now, I'm gambling.
It seems that the only honest way to win money from a casino is by playing blackjack extremely well and counting, but if you do that, they'll probably kick you out. Now, I tell you all this, but maybe I'm bluffing, and how would you know if I was bluffing while we're still with gambling games? How do you know when
Because we know your tell.
Ah, that's the word, isn't it? A tell is what they're called. What
Yes,
are
this.
tells?
It's when you get the cards, you go, come on, come on!
All that, or just blinking a lot.
Blinking a lot is, yeah, it's said to be one.
Speedboats, fast cars, it's all going to be mine!
Yes. Now, if you were quite good at poker, you might then reverse that, mightn't you? And if you've got a really bad hand, do that.
Yeah.
What's
So
the point?
that's the
Well,
problem.
I'll go in anyway, but what's the point?
Yeah. Oh, come on. Apparently, poker legend Amarillo Slim once said to someone, if you can tell my poker hand from looking at me, I'll let you shit in this hat. Which seems...
Kind.
Take it off its name.
But why that's a... Oh,
Give me
hooray,
that.
now I can shit in a hat. I've always wanted to do that. Well, apparently, that's...
Yeah, it's not what you call a prize, is it?
No, but it was his way
It
of...
sounded better in a Texan
Yeah,
drawl.
it was his way of saying poker's about... Is
That's what
actually
that
not
Meatloaf
really
song's
about
about.
reading faces.
The mind read, if you could read people's minds, that would be
Yes.
good, wouldn't it? If you had a mind-reading hat. That would come eventually. Make poker pointless, won't it?
Yeah.
This game is stupid. Let's wrestle. They can't ruin that.
Yeah. Well, great. Gamblers tell you that weak is strong and strong is weak. They basically try and bluff the other thing, as it were. They double bluff. They may be triple bluffing, who knows. But now we enter the end game, gentlemen, lady, with your chance to take a wild gamble on a few hands of general ignorance, so fingers on buzzers. What colour is this hound?
Blue.
Oh, you're good. How did you know that?
Mad for dogs.
Oh, you like dogs,
I'm
don't you?
absolutely
Yeah.
mad for dogs.
What's the name of the breed?
It is a miniature.
It's a greyhound.
Is it
It's a greyhound, yeah. But the greyhounds are not grey. The word grey is actually from Grieg originally. It was a Grieg hunt. And Grieg means bitch.
The English, yeah.
Yeah, Early English means bitch, so it's a bitch hound, basically. And as you say, they're called blue. That colour is called blue. There you are.
Yeah.
What do we know about greyhound racing? Is it flourishing at the moment, or is it down in the doldrums?
I know.
Greyhound Racing UK tell us it's the second most popular spectator sport in the country after football. 2.5 billion wagered every year.
I think a lot of the greyhounds, though, they've gone off it. They're more interested in football.
And how fast does the hare go round the little...
40 miles an hour.
Up to 100.
Really?
Yeah, how about that?
Max speed 70, actually, with greyhounds, isn't it? Between 40 and 70 miles per hour.
The dogs themselves?
Yeah.
Who would win out of a race between a cheetah and a greyhound?
I would.
Who would win?
Cheetah.
Cheetah.
Well, the cheetah would just have lunch. You wouldn't worry about it. yeah, you're brilliant.
Well, someone did try, actually. A man called Kenneth Gander Dower. And the trouble is the cheetah just wasn't interested. It would just sit down. It wouldn't race.
Especially with this little monkey jockey.
They're not interested in rabbits, are they? They have to have something that the cheetah would like.
They're not going to think that a little bit of rag racing around an electric
But
sofa
funny
is
you should say that.
Yeah.
Because I did this documentary about a place in Namibia, and it's a big cat reservation. And they had a baby cheetah that had been found at the roadside and brought to them. So in an effort to try and return it to the wild, they set up a motor with a long bit of cord and pulleys that zigzagged around this field and attached a rag to it. And then this thing would fly around and this cheetah would chase it. And they were trying to get it to keep it, or, you know, its hunting instinct.
Oh, well, maybe then they would go round a
And we
greyhound
had
track.
to feed them horse meat, and they were driving in a pickup, doing about 30 miles an hour, and they're just jogging along next to you at 30.
Oh, it's
really
extraordinary, isn't it?
really amazing.
Beautiful.
And they only eat fresh meat. Leopards will eat rotten, maggot-strewn stuff. They'll take it up a tree and leave it for days.
They do, that's...
But cheetahs has to be...
Or
Dead
steamed,
fish.
or steamed
quite
fish.
fussy, yeah.
Or steamed fish.
You have to peel all their apples.
Well, that was very...
And in one, if you haven't got a big curly bit, they won't eat the apple.
With an initial when you chuck it over the shoulder.
That's the bit they're interested in, that bouncy curly bit. They go, I'll eat the apple, but I want that.
They are pretty much that fussy.
They are fussy animals,
Yeah.
indeed. Anyway, greyhounds are not grey, and even the ones that are in fact blue. Now, what should you do with mussels that don't open when you cook them?
Oh, leave them well alone, really.
Yeah.
What should you do with them?
Don't eat them.
Well,
Yeah, that's good advice.
no, it isn't.
No, it's terrible advice.
Clearly, it's bad.
Thank goodness you didn't say throw them away, though. Then you would have been a forfeit. No, it's odd. This is a woman called Jane Grigson. And she wrote a very fine book on seafood in which she said if they don't open, then they're bad, throw them away. And this was in the early 70s. And by the 90s, 90% of all books said it. In fact, the Australian Seafood Commission say, if anything, it's the reverse is true. That actually one that doesn't open it may be better for you. And certainly one that's open before you start cooking, you should throw away.
Yeah.
Because that'll be dead.
Yeah.
I love seafood. I was in Barcelona and I had some clams and my wife said, oh, they don't smell right. And I went, it'd be fine. Ate it. And I was very ill. It's not a really good story, though. I'll tell you, I was really ill. But I was so ill, I was so sick. It's the sickest I've ever been. I couldn't bend over a toilet. I had to stand in the shower, going like that. It was horrendous. And I'd never been ill with them before. So then about 2 weeks later, I thought, you know, get back on the horse.
Yeah.
I had some razor clams. And the delay was about an hour. And I was back up in the shower going... Wow. And I'm really frightened that I'll have an allergy for life.
Oh, that would be.
Yeah.
It's the most horrendous thing, food poisoning. But the fact that your body just does this mass eject, I think it's great. I don't want to see it, thanks, but I think it's great.
Well, it's fine to eat closed mussels. In fact, they're probably fresher than the open ones. What did gladiators say, incidentally, at the beginning of a tournament?
We who are about to die salute you.
Oh, dear.
Come on, that's what it's there for.
Yeah, you're right. No,
Not the face.
Absolutely. Face. Very good. No, they didn't say that.
I'd like a bean salad.
I want a steak.
There was a thought that it was morituri te salutamus or whatever, which would be in the Latin, and they said it to the Emperor Claudius. But they weren't actually gladiators. They were just prisoners who were going to be killed. No gladiator was ever recorded as saying it. That's the point. So there's no reason to believe it was ever said by a gladiator.
What did they say? I bet they say something like, come on, let's just all try and have a laugh.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so once again, we find ourselves at the end of the game. And it's fascinating, actually. Our winner, our clear winner, with 5 points, is Liza Tarbuck! In second place with 2 points, Phill Jupitus. In third place, Sean with -7. But yes, -17, Alan Davis. That's it. Thanks to Phill, Sean, Liza, Alan and me. And we'll leave you with this self-evident truth from James Hetfield, off of Metallica, who said, it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye. Then it's fun and games that you can't see anymore. Thank you and good night.